Hi, I'm Pam, and I would like to welcome you to the Live Authentically show. My team and I help other people step into their authentic realities a number of different ways. This show is obviously one of them. We also have a Facebook group of like-minded people committed to spiritual growth and transformation, and you can find us and join us at liveauthentically.today/FB. We would absolutely love to have you. I also recently launched my debut book. It's called SOAR, SOAR. It's on Amazon, and it shows how I partnered with the universe to create my new reality. And I firmly believe that regardless of who you are, where you are, even if you're feeling like you're at rock bottom, you can absolutely get to a place of soaring. So go ahead and check that out. I am super excited on my show today. I have a very special guest. I have Uncustomary with me. Hey, Uncustomary.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited about our show today. I love what you're about. I love your brand. I love the energy signature that you bring into the world, and I'm super excited to dive into all of that. Excuse me, but before we get started, I'm going to start my show off with the same question that I ask all of my guests. Are you ready?
Yes.
That's not the actual question. The question is, how do you live authentically every day?
How do I live authentically? So this is something that I've really become very aware of this year. I think this word gets thrown around a lot more, as do a lot of things with social media. We become aware of, certain words that feel good. And then we kind of almost lose the meaning as we speak them even more, because we're not really being aligned with what that means. And for me, I think that is actually what authenticity means, is alignment. It is when we know what our values are, which I think most of us do, but then it's more than that. It's the beliefs, when we are able to actually think in our brains, in our inner critic, in our inner monologue, and our inner advocate, what those values are in a consistent way, and then to actually go out and behave in that same way, and to have that energy when we leave the room, for that energy to remain on the walls and in the hearts of people that interact with us.
Yeah, I love that. So powerful. And let's talk a little bit about words. I love words. I always have. And,
Mm-hmm.
words really do have an energy to them. And there are certain words, because of the energetic underpinnings, that I have banned, that I've blacklisted from my own vocabulary. Busy being one of them, as an example, has a very frenzied, kind of frantic energy to it. In my, based on my perspective, my opinion. So anyways, that's just an example of words and, that have certain meanings. So what are some of those other words that you said, sometimes the meaning, we use them so much and the true meaning actually gets lost because they're just being overused. What are some other examples of words that you can think of?
This could be its own podcast, let me tell you. But
yeah,
I think in one area, there are certain mental health words that we use that actually have meaning. And when we use them in a flighty way, we devalue the meaning for the people that find them to be empowering, and to find a home with them, that understanding, that knowing of when something feels, not understanding where your body is coming from, whether that be anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, schizophrenia, to kind of throw these words around in a way that might not be accurate. If you say anxiety and you mean stress, for example, it's not to say that you can't experience both or have both, but to really be clear and grounded about where is this coming from. And that really just expands to, I think, everything, not just mental health, but where are you coming from? And I can't remember what comedian it was. They said something about if you say amazing about everything, then what are you going to say? If you say amazing about chicken wings, then what are you going to say when you see God? And I liked that. But at the same time, I love when people are genuinely enthusiastic about everything and they say, this is my favorite about every song. And I think that there is a beautiful duality in that. And it really is just who you are. And if you're authentic about that, if your truth is, this feels the best moment that I can feel, and that's okay, then that's okay. But I think with words that it is really important to look at origins and meanings and why we're saying it and how often we are saying them. And really, if we were to how difficult it is to release them. So if you're saying just or sorry a lot, especially with women, we're usually kind of systematically apologizing or devaluing our own asking, our own values and desires by kind of changing the language so it seems less. So we seem small.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. A couple of reflections on that. Well, first of all, you probably noticed that I smiled when you said the word amazing because guilty as charged. It's one of my favorite words. I use that all the time.
Me too.
It's amazing. Maybe I should dial that back a little bit. So I'll bring that into my awareness this week. But
do you want to? It's okay
right.
if you don't.
Right. Yeah. And that's truly how I feel. I mean, I do try to express my emotions in the most authentic way in every single moment. And, when you get to that place of alignment, and obviously it's a practice, it's not like something, we achieve and then we have that status forevermore. Life really does become and feel amazing.
Yes.
Right? We can make amazingness out of everyday, everyday routine moments. And that's when the magic really starts to happen, when we no longer feel like we're just constantly waiting to get somewhere other than where we are, when we can really just soak up the moment and what's in front of us.
So maybe that's not taking away the amazing feeling. It's expanding our vocabulary to the thesaurus and the synonyms of amazing. And this is magic. This is incredible. This is wonderful, instead of consistently amazing over and over.
Yeah. And I love how you brought up the word sorry too, because I do see that being overused, and I used to use that, years ago as well, but I started to turn that around and express gratitude or
it's the best way. It's the best replacement.
It really is. So, instead of just as an example for our viewers and listeners, if you are running late, instead of saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I'm late, I'm sorry I'm late, thank you for your patience. I ran into some traffic on the way here. And I
really appreciate you waiting for me. That means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does shift the energy in a really powerful way. So just another little, shift, kind of tweak we can make in order to get to an alignment.
And the way that we express gratitude, I think, is also really important. I celebrate unusual holidays all the time. And the other day was Good Neighbor Day. And I made a list of ways to be considerate for, all sorts of things. And I, in the comments section, said, hey, what are some ways that you like to be considerate, or you like others to be considerate for you? And I thought about it and I said, hey, just to challenge you, don't look at this list and say, oh, I hate when people do that, or this bothers me. Like, how about you shift the phrasing to say, I really appreciate it when people do this, or I love it when I can do this. And the way that the comments flew in from that verbiage was so much more. Like, I got goosebumps just thinking about that versus the way that it could have gone. So just thinking about the way that we structure sentences really does have power. If you think about the 4 agreements, it's an agreement that you are making just with your language.
Yeah. And it really is an exemplification of shifting from the unconscious to conscious, right? As we move out of those unconscious modes of operation, the way we've always done things, the way we've always spoken, to really intentionally and very mindfully choosing our words, it really does have a powerful impact on energy. So thank you for sharing that. All right. So where I'd like to go next is I am so intrigued. My curiosity is so piqued by what you're about, this whole idea of merriment making. So I'm going to just go ahead and turn it over to you, kind of give you carte blanche to talk about what this is all about.
Yeah. So When I started my business in 2013, I knew that this was different. And I thought about what I was, and it wasn't something that existed already. And I just wanted to spread joy. That was really my main goal at the end of the day. And my birth name is Mary. And I always liked my name, and I liked the dual meaning of, Mary, merriment, and Mary. And I thought, I could be a merriment spreader, a merriment maker. And I really shifted away from that in the middle of my business in terms of this timeline now, where, money became an issue and I wanted to make money, and there's no coaching program for merriment making, right? Because I made it up. So if I wanted to be educated, I was still coaching. So I shifted into self-love coaching and learning about that. And it became icky for me. It became stagnant, and it's not that I didn't learn anything. It wasn't really who I was. Changing my bio to self-love coach wasn't lighting me up. And I got really far away from who I was and where I wanted to go. And I had this real shift and this real epiphany moment with a lot of things that happened in my life. But one of them that really pivoted and brought me back was remembering where I started with this business. And it was declaring that I was uncustomary and that I was a merriment maker. And when that kind of rose back from the ashes, this reclaiming of that, I realized that if we talk about you make more money when you are more happy. When the more happy you are, the more abundant you are. And I think that, abundance is everything too. It's not just money. So when I started putting merriment as my biggest value and my biggest priority, everything else started falling into place. My money issues kind of just stopped being an issue because I wasn't feeling like so stressed about everything. And I can't tell you just how everything really felt, but I really realized that when I wanted to have a merriment making program for me to learn from, that doesn't exist because I haven't made it yet. So when we want something, we have to create it. So I'd like to learn, but I'm the person to teach it. So I made a merriment making program, and it started with a book idea. And I realized that it needed to be more extensive than that. Mm-hmm. So really the merriment making program is a book with, this intensive coaching program and EFT and tapping and journaling and shadow work and all of these different components where people get this huge hub of materials and they learn how to essentially become a merriment maker. And the core center of that is threefold. It is to embody joy, it's to create joy, and it's to spread joy. And I find that most of us, especially women, for the most part, inherently have, if you ask them, have a much easier time spreading joy than they do feeling and embodying joy. And it's a huge problem because it's backwards. We have this caregiver, people-pleasing problem, essentially. And it's been inherited, it's generational, and it's from our childhood. And we think we need to please others and be in our own discomfort instead of letting someone else, it's all backwards. So I'm prioritizing the embodiment of our own joy, happiness, and merriment before we create it and then spread it. And it's very uncomfortable for a lot of people, for most, because the urge to go be kind in any way is natural. But it's like self-care, the way, whenever we look at self-love, self-care, anything, it's externalized. And I want to internalize it. And really, this is a self-love program. It's just a complete shift in terms of what that looks like. Because if you're spreading happiness, you must love yourself as well.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of it in a nutshell, but obviously there's more to it, but yeah.
No, I love that. And I love how you've really tapped into the energy behind that and the word, joy, that, I mean, that's one, as you know, one of the highest vibrations in the universe.
Yeah.
Right. And so that really is our responsibility, is to create joy in every moment, to really optimize it and maximize it in our lives. So I love that you're taking that approach. It does feel very different than just tapping into the energy when you were talking, self-love coach. Obviously, with all due respect to all coaches who title themselves as that, because that's obviously what feels authentic to them. I can definitely feel that this is very different energetically when you approach it from this whole idea of merriment making, and so unique. And I'd love for you to talk about, I love what you've done. I love how you embody the energy of creation, and you didn't feel like you needed to, kind of pigeonhole yourself or, put a square peg in a round hole and fit somebody else's idea of what your reality should be. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how to tap into your uniqueness, your own energy signature, and how to step into the energy of creation. Because I know there's a lot of people out there thinking to themselves, like, haven't quite found my groove. I've tried a few different things, a few different careers. And I was just on a call with someone yesterday, and I said, you know what? Like, you have like entrepreneurial energy. Why are you talking about fitting into another organization? Why are you not creating your own? And I would love everyone to at least spend some time in that mentality, just thinking about and reflecting on that idea of creating, right? Creating your own brand, creating your own whatever, your own authentic reality. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say that I think right now, with the way the world is, that there is so much pressure for people to be an entrepreneur, have a side hustle, and create a brand. And that if that is not your authentic call, that's okay. And it is okay to not do that. However, I think that it is also the authentic brand that we can be talking about is you as a person. So you as a human being are a brand. And Jessica Zweig of Simply Be has a really intense, wonderful book and podcast all about this, that in a way that I can't do a justice to right now. But basically, we actually did a really great talk together, but you are your own brand. And when talking about authenticity and alignment, what are your values, and just living authentically as your own brand? What I said in the beginning to your first question, that is your brand. So in terms of creativity, I think you can absolutely create your world, your environment, your home, your clothing, your art, all of those things. That is, when you're asking them to sit down, that is absolutely important, whether or not you go out and create money from it. Now, if you want to create money from it, that's a whole other ballgame, right? But I don't think we should ever, it's not required. If you want to, and you, whatever. But now, in terms of what to do if you're feeling, pigeonholed, or you're not feeling like what to do about what happens if this is, not being called. My first inclination is to say, what do you do when you're procrastinating? When you are told this thing is due, or you're kind of, you're wasting time, so to speak, or you're kind of trying to get something in under the wire, or like if you were still with your parents or something and their backs were turned, what's the thing that you go to kind of experience joy in that way? Is it like reading? Is it creating? Is it storytelling? What play are you realizing that you're doing? And that is going to be a huge eye opener. And so is play in general, the way that you played as a child, the way that you're playing now. And we have a huge negativity surrounding play. We think it's useless. We think it's a waste of time. And we think that it's only for children. We think that if we do something that we did as a child now, that we're not mature and we're irresponsible. And we think also that the things that we're doing now for joy aren't considered play. And all of that is incorrect. And any play that you're doing is actually the thing that's going to fuel you the most in terms of passion, because anything that you do for a job or creativity needs to be something that you can fuel naturally. And that is where, you know, something like merriment or your concept of soar, right? Like these are things that you can continue to pull from, because they're this essentially infinite well that just continues to fill up. And you kind of really need to be totally in alignment and clear about what your values are as a person, so that you can figure out what wells there are that can continue to fill up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add? Because I was going to.
I'm sure I will.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it doesn't always have to be associated with earning money, but just again, stepping into our unique energy signature and what does that look and feel like, you know, that has such a different energy. I always find that if I feel like I'm becoming, you know, just spread thin over the course of the week, it's generally because I haven't spent enough time in the energy of creation.
Yeah.
It's generally, you know, the weeks that I'm just you know, occupied running, you know, doing other things, right? Just driving my kids around, whatever. And as much as I love spending time with them, like I know myself well enough by now to know what I need in order to feel filled up, in order to feel lit up. So I need a ridiculous degree of intellectual stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
I need to spend time in the energy of creation. And like you said, it doesn't have to be associated with making money. It can just be, you can explore many, many different creative endeavors. And you know, anything from art to music to, excuse me, words, poetry, etc., photography, so many different things to explore, excuse me, and color is a big piece of that too. So I remember when my team, we were working on my branding, you know, we did a lot of exploration around, you know, my colors, and my color themes are, you know, greens and blues and just kind of the cool colors. But that's a place to start, you know, if someone is looking to just brand themselves, even on a personal basis. Excuse me, like you said, what lights you up, what makes you happy, what environments are you happiest in, what feelings do you want to embody? So yeah, it's a really powerful exercise, and that energy of creation right up there with the energy of joy.
And that's such a good point too, because I think that a lot of people will say or idolize sometimes, especially in this day and age where we think that when someone has their own business, that it must just be, you know, rainbows and Instagram shoots all the time, right? And this is a really good light into that idea that, well, we are creating our own business and our own systems, but then still it does become work, because it is still. And that's when we need to make sure that we are continuing to put in, the same way everyone does, hobbies, passions, creativity, and intellectual stimulation, and to also make sure that there is something separate from the money, right? Because then you make sure that you have those separate passions and hobbies. I remember when I first started my business and I realized that I had essentially turned every passion and hobby I had into my job. I was like, I had almost like an existential crisis. I was like, oh God, I need to get something else that's not involved under this umbrella, because I feel like I'm going to go a little nuts. I need to make sure there's something that I can go into my room with that's a sanctuary piece, almost, you know? And on your point of color, I've been pointing this out to people a lot lately, and it seems to really be powerful. So your favorite, in terms of color psychology, I love psychology and color. So this is your favorite color will usually, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
It is blue. Okay. So your favorite color usually tells you what you are already good at in this lifetime or in this version of you right now. So the meaning of that color is, if it's just the psychology of it, you can look at the social media branding of it, and also the chakra. So that is going to be the meaning of that is stuff that comes naturally for you. So blue is, you know, the throat chakra, that's speaking your truth. It's also calming. You know, when people use blue in marketing, it's to make sure that it's a very easy presence. There's just nothing alarming about it. It's literally the ocean, the sky. It's the, I mean, you know, when we did your marketing with putting blue into your website, It's also, I mean, there's so many things you can look up with blue, and also the different shades. So like, to be clear about what shade you're drawn to versus like a pastel versus a navy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So looking into what that means and just realizing, okay, well, this does come naturally for me. Now, what's your least favorite color?
Orange.
Orange. Okay. So orange is the sacral chakra, and it's also it's a very it's like the second most least favorite color, and second most popular least favorite color, and it is very loud. It's very considered to be obnoxious. It's also correlated with play and with a lot of creativity, and also some sexuality in there as well, because it's very close to the root chakra. Mm-hmm. So our least favorite colors tend to be the things that we are here in this life, or this iteration chapter of ourselves, that we are wanting to focus our energy on in terms of our shadow work. So for me, my favorite color is yellow, and that for me is very easy. That's merriment, hope, optimism, joy, like quite literally. And it's been that way. It's like one of my first words was yellow. It's just been that way since birth. Mm-hmm. And my least favorite is brown, which is grounding. It's the earth and dirt. And for me, it's like, yeah, I'm all up here. I have like all the air signs. I'm just like quadruple Gemini, just okay, yeah, okay. I need to put my feet in dirt constantly. Mm-hmm. So you can just see, if you look up, anyone listening, what your least favorite color is the most important, to look at the work that might need to be done. And if it fits, it fits.
Oh, very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. And you mentioned, I was actually just going to ask what your zodiac is. You're a Gemini.
So I'm actually on the cusp. So technically, I was born the hour it changed. So I'm technically a Cancer, but I have the 4 main ones in Gemini.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Very cool. I've been reading up on astrology a little bit more. And
what is your sun?
So is that I'm still learning. I'm just dabbling.
Just your main one, like the day you're born.
Okay. Do you want to guess? Do you want to play a guess your zodiac sign or no?
Yeah. Okay. So Taurus?
No.
Are you an Earth? Oh, you don't know. You don't know.
No, I am an Earth. It is.
Yeah. Are you a Capricorn?
No.
Okay, then Virgo.
Virgo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you.
I definitely knew it was Earth, but I didn't know.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I could tell you were Earth.
How so? Excuse me.
Honestly, just from your website.
Oh.
Like, yeah, from like how structured everything is and how grounded I felt, honestly, on your website, how everything was very seamless and structured and easy to follow. There was no flightiness whatsoever in there.
I'm laughing because that is totally structure, details.
Yeah. And even just looking at the background of you, everything is it has its place and it's not cluttered, and I can see just the representation of everything is just, it's just right. It just makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. All right, let's get the spotlight back onto you. We're going to be wrapping up here in a couple of minutes, but would like to give you, just kind of open it up and just give you some space to close with whatever you'd like to close with, whether it's something that you're working on that you would like to promote, any words of wisdom in general, and how people can reach you if they'd like to get in touch with you.
Sure. Well, we were talking in the beginning, the day this is being recorded is actually the day I didn't know when we scheduled this, that my membership group is being rebranded and relaunched. So I have changed the name to the Merriment Maker. So everyone right now is getting their complete download of all of the new resources for this month. And I have just restructured everything in this really beautiful redesigned way that I'm really excited about. Every month is a new theme, and you can see the themes for a whole month in advance. And it's so exciting the way that I've done it with Facebook and Teachable, depending on if you want an additional social media support group or not. And all these like fun membership cards are being mailed to people all over the world right now. And they have the 10 commandments of merriment making on the back, which no one has seen except me yet, not even my boyfriend. And he actually helped me stuff them, and I wouldn't let him look at the back. I just like the idea of having the secret going out in the mail.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the members are going to be the first ones that see that. And there's also, years and years of archives available still as soon as you sign up. So there's literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of archives of worksheets and tappings and meditations and digital you have to go look to see it. It's a waste of time for me to list it all, but I'm really proud of this group. I'm really proud of the people that are dedicated to it. It's, dazzle, color, self-love, merriment, body love, optimism, everything. And if this is something that you feel called to do, then I would be happy to be there for you as a guide. And there's also Happy Mail that comes to your mailbox every month, in addition to the membership cards. So yeah, I would love for you to do that. That's at uncustomary.org/membership. And you can find me if you want to join the merriment making program that we talked about. That's uncustomary.org/merriment-making. You can find me just in general on Instagram. I'm uncustomary love. And yeah, I think in general, just make sure you really accept where you are right now and know that you can continue to evolve absolutely anything and everything that you want, but be here right now, coming from the girl that really does not like brown, and to be grounded. That is one of the biggest lessons I have had to learn, is to be present and to be mindful and to be not just grateful in general of the past and the future and the possibilities and the experiences I've already had, but the moment that we are in, because it gets really difficult to be present when we are past or future tripping. So do your best to breathe, put your feet on the ground, and experience this merriment right now, because it's the only moment that is here. So thank you so much for having me. This has been really wonderful. And I hope this is the first of many things that we get to do together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was such a beautiful, beautiful discussion. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. And to all of our viewers and listeners, thank you. I believe that time is a choice, and I'm grateful that you've carved time out of your day to be here and listen to everything that Uncustomary has had to share with us today. And thank you again. It's been absolutely delightful, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch. So thanks, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.